to stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance, feel free to do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll call the meeting to order. Rebecca will take the roll.
Mayor Torres.
Present.
Sorry, Mayor Torres.
Present.
Okay. Alder Casey Villiers, present. Alder Jeremy Hill.
Present.
Alder Keene. Alder Joyce Lancaster.
Present.
Alder Rachel Matheson. Present. Alder Carol Wilson. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Wes, anything for the agenda?
No amendments, but wanted to just draw your attention, I hope I read the numbers the right way around. There was a scrivener's error last time. Ordinance adding 405-156 to the city code, it read 405-155. So it's been corrected on today's second read.
Okay.
Other than that, no other amendments to talk about.
Can we get a motion to approve the agenda then?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Should we do all in favor?
Yeah, we can. All in favor of, say aye. We were talking to the attorney and we were streamlining things.
There you go.
So if I think everybody's gonna say aye, I can say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If there's a no, then we'll come back and we'll vote. Make this even faster.
You hope for time for dinner.
Thank you.
We're working on that for you, Mike, because I know you've been here all day. All right, consent agenda. Anybody have any questions, any concerns? All in favor of the consent agenda? Say aye.
Aye.
Do we need a first motion or just a?
Yeah, we'll still need to make a motion and then a second and then vote.
We
Yeah.
still, so on that one, we do need the vote.
On just a first, you'll have to make a motion and then somebody needs to make a motion and then second the motion.
Make a
and then
motion
you
that
can
we
vote.
approve the consent agenda.
I have a first.
Second. Go ahead.
I have a second. Should we say all, do you want me to say that?
Sure, that's
First
fine.
and a second? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Voted on the fly here. All right, current outstanding invoices.
No new ones to add, man.
Okay. Next section, citizen input. If there's anybody out there that would like to come forward, Betty, come forward. I believe I saw you sign in, so.
I did.
But for the record, go ahead and state your name and address.
Hi, my name's Debbie Arick, and I live at 511 Osage here in Willard in the Fox Creek subdivision. It's just off at Hunt Road, down past McDonald's. I spoke with our city administrator by email the other day, who was very receptive to my email, and I just would like to address the mayor and the alderman tonight about significant safety issues on Osage. Our citizens again are reaching out for help. In 2023, I walked the neighborhood and I got petitions signed from our neighborhood, from the homeowners, and about our safety issues. I asked on one petition for extra signage for speeding, you know, children that play, and the safety signs for speeding, a couple more, and some stop signs. And the city, you know, took care of that for us, and we were really appreciative to that response. But I also asked on the other petition if we could do something about getting speed bumps. People get about halfway down Osage and they start picking up speed when whether they're turning from Hunt Road onto Osage, or if they're coming from the stop sign at Osage and Saratoga about midway, they're picking up speed, and it's a 20-mile zone. So it's a serious safety issue for our families, most importantly of our children. I counted tonight 17 children that live on our street. When I did this petition, there were 13. So now we have 17, and I think there's 2 more on the way. So anyway, we just wanted to let you all know that our traffic has, the volume has increased drastically. We're experiencing a constant flow of large commercial construction vehicles that travel down Osage to Hoffman Hills, the new subdivision. They carry everything you need to build a house, from roofing, concrete trucks, plumbing, lumber, electrical, you name it, whatever it takes to build a house. And plus the private cars, private vehicles, school buses that go into Hoffman Hills. And now that road has opened up Osage on the other end, so there's an older subdivision on the other side of Hoffman Hills. So we're getting traffic from two subdivisions going straight down Osage. So it was a quiet street, but not anymore. And we've had neighbors stand out in their yard and yell, "Slow down," you know. So anyway, we're really worried about that. The speed limit is 20 miles an hour, and it's a hazardous situation. We're asking y'all to just revisit and possibly get some speed bumps for us. That's all I gotta say. Thank you for your time, and please help us somehow. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes is gonna tell me not to do this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Because for, all 50 people that want a speed bumps, 50 don't. But I was thinking as you were talking, what about the idea like what Springfield has done downtown? Of course, I don't know that Osage would be wide enough where they do the kind of the small raised flower beds, if you will, and they curve them. Everyone's been downtown Springfield because they had the same problem on Jefferson. And that way you're not driving over and theoretically damaging your vehicle, and you have to maneuver around it, causing you to go slow. But with all the construction trucks, obviously the road would have to be wide enough to accommodate them also. But sorry,
Well,
maybe it could be an option.
there are two things with that. What you're talking about is the science of road calming or street calming. Osage is quite a wide street. Most people drive, for right or wrong at the speed they're comfortable with. So Osage being a wider street, straight shot, they're probably more comfortable with, going a little faster than they should. So something like that probably work, just making it a little less comfortable to drive the speed because you got to concentrate.
And if the HOA would participate in, beautification or planning something in there.
Debbie, what are your guidelines in your HOA about parking on the street?
I believe they're not supposed to be there overnight.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that. But I did speak with Dwight Dodson, our HOA president, and, I believe the HOA would be willing to help possibly with the speed bumps.
I asked about that because people go speeding down our street as well. And what we have found, because we're towards the beginning of our neighborhood, and what we have found is if we park one of our vehicles in the street in front of our house, people slow down.
That is true.
So you make an obstacle out of your vehicle?
She does.
One of my neighbors across the street had his pickup truck in the street overnight, and the mirror was knocked off.
We don't ever leave it overnight. It's typically just during the day when usually we're outside when we do that. But we have noticed that we do see people slowing down when one of our vehicles is parked in front of the house.
Well, I personally won't park my vehicles in the street because I don't want them to get hit.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Must be a
understand
good
that.
upgrade and trade.
When on Wright Street, we were very focused on that, and if you remember Hunt to the police station, people would, they would fly like 50 miles. And we just recently had a scanner put up. I don't know how well that helps, but I don't know if they would be willing to do that.
They did that last year or the year before.
The police department has came out and put up the radar on trailer and parked in front of my house, parked it down the street, across the street. It did slow down, but that's just a
Just when
delay
it's
for a
there.
couple of days
Yeah.
or a week.
People getting into those. What it would likely need is gonna be some kind of traffic study and figure out from there. Generally, speed bumps, speed humps, they carry a bit of a risk for emergency response time. Fire truck's heavier, back end can kind of get damaged, then you become responsible for, you know, if somebody in a low riding vehicle damages their vehicle, well, we're potentially on the hook for that if it's
What
not
if
marked
there's
well.
plenty of marking for it?
Just some additional information on that.
There's risk, but if you calm things, if you create, you know, inconvenience, they tend to be more successful. We also have the police department over there doing additional enforcement.
Wes,
I'm just in the block
if I
over.
may,
Sure, yeah, go right ahead.
I talked to the fire chief specifically about this, about speed bumps and everything like that. And the concerns that EMS have obviously is their vehicles are so much, even with signage and everything like that, they're so much heavier and they have to slow down and it dislodges stuff and breaks things. So he says obviously in the name of safety, he'd be willing to look at different things, but speed bumps are not very high up on his list. There are other traffic calming measures that we can put in that would slow traffic down. And if they're not supposed to be parking on the street anyway, you know, you could put in protected bike lanes and different things like that. That
I
would,
wonder if the state or county would have some money to go towards that effort in the name of safety.
yeah. But you
Well,
could,
there may be options, and I mean, we talked about protected bike lanes and stuff. I think first step, I would like to speak with your HOA, and we set up a date to do that, to get their feedback. And then we can kind of talk about the grand scheme. I think, you know, I'm just on the block over from you guys, and, you know, we see it in Hoffman Hills too. There's a little guy in a red truck that likes to go squealing tires and racing up and down in our neck of the woods, and it's frustrating, because likewise, there's kids over there too. I think the longer term play, really Hughes, I think needs to be connected all the way through to 160. Just from my observations, there's a lot of traffic that comes south of town through there. They're cutting through because there's no straight through. But a finished Hughes Road, we just toyed with the idea with the engineers, just, you know, ballpark. We're not gonna quote you on it, what would it look like? It'd be about $3 million to finish that road, so that may be a time. But that likely would cut all that traffic out. It would go in kind of in the back of your HOA, back of Hoffman Hills, connecting, you know, that sharp curve where the road kind of widens. It would take it all the way through to the police department in the long term of things. But
I wondered if, you know, where New Melville Road is and the big field that's behind, and they're going to keep building up more, and Hoppin Hills building up toward Melville Road. You know, there's a barn, red barn there with a farmhouse and all that property. Well, there's like a little road that goes down along there. I wondered if they could possibly make a road there.
I think we've
sometime.
explored that idea, haven't we? It was a no.
they currently don't have an easement wide enough. It has to be a 55 foot easement, they only have 35.
So like private drive.
But as that develops, hopefully in the not too distant future, we can certainly see if the developer will be open to making some adjustments. And I think at the top of Hoffman Hills, isn't there a northeastern exit?
It goes back to Jeb, and then they access the east property also, so there will be another outlet.
We're working on it, but I mean, as far as short term, I think, you know, we're looking at calming.
There was a young man, this last little ice that we had, speeding down the road and wiped out 3 mailboxes.
Ah, I did see that.
So,
I think I saw him as he was parked in the yard.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we'll work on it, but let's talk with your HOA first. I'm sure you're concerned with some of everybody else's anyway, so
They are.
it'll be a good starting point.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deb. All right. Item number 10. This is a second read. You want to read this down, or you want me to? I'm sorry, Rebecca.
An ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Willard, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Ozarks Coca-Cola Dr. Pepper Bottling Company.
Anything new and exciting?
No, nothing new and exciting. Sam came along just in case you guys had any other questions.
I can run down the basics if you need them.
I don't think you did. Unless the board would like to hear about it.
Yeah, would you like to hear about it?
I said if the board would like to hear about it, we surely can.
Was this brought up once before?
Yeah, that was the first read we talked about, the
Yeah.
vending and Coca-Cola.
It's basically just that, we've done it before, the options are Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Pepsi's volume thresholds are too high for us to benefit from the rebates and incentives. Coca-Cola gives a $2,000 sponsorship every year, $5 per case rebate, and pays the department 50% of gross sales from the 2 vending machines that they run and maintain for us. So it's kind of that or nothing.
Yep. I've run into that with my truck. I don't know if I need to, that doesn't cause any issues here with this, but yeah, Pepsi's really high.
Yeah, their sales thresholds are just way too high. Coca-Cola's the only one that markets to a department our size, so.
All right. And there's nothing further, can we get a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alderman Billiard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alder Matheson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Rebecca, item number 11.
An ordinance adding section 405-155 to the city code, providing guidelines to developers who may elect to create a park in lieu of paying facility fees.
Mike, did you want to talk about this any further than we did the other night,
Or
or
anything additional to add?
anything additional?
No.
Only the numbers have changed. Thank you to the clerk. Yeah.
Ordinance numbers, not the cost numbers.
Yeah, well, hopefully those change too when people use them, but, yeah, both of these ordinance, like I said, are just, tools for a developer to come in and, recoup some back-end costs if they're developing the lots and the properties they're allowed to, put in parks and trails and show us some totals and recoup some costs on the back end, so. No changes to the wording or anything like that, same ordinance as it was before.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alder Billiard?
Yes.
Alder Hill?
Yes.
Alder Lancaster?
Yes.
Alder Matheson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 12.
An ordinance adding section 405.156 of the city code to facilitate the development and maintenance of linear park trails and trail connectors.
No change on this one, Adam?
No changes either, willing to field questions or comments or anything.
Well covered. Make a motion to approve the ordinance as read.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Alder Billiard?
Yes.
Alder Hill?
Yes.
Alder Lancaster?
Yes.
Alder Matheson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 13. This one is a first read.
A standard yearly ordinance adopting and enacting the code of ordinances of the city of Willard, including recently passed ordinances.
And this, as I understand it, as you get a new term, you reenact or re-up your code for the next administrative cycle.
Okay. If there are no questions, we don't need to vote on it. Next city administrator remarks.
We're just racing through this thing. Look at
If you want to slow down, I will.
this. No, you're doing great. I think everyone's excited to get outside, right?
Hearing is David slowed us down.
Gorgeous weather. Well, I'll leave with the awkward one. It's been almost a year that I've been here. So it's coming up time for my annual evaluation. I've asked staff or department heads to do a 360 evaluation, give you guys some input from the area. I don't know how you guys want to handle it. I'll just write mine. You can read it and agree or disagree, or you can throw dots at me or whatever you want to do.
I heard darts.
Dots? You're a dots guy? Okay, I'll get some dots. We can play. But I'll probably put a personnel on the next meeting and you can share with me, or if there's anything particularly you want me to kind of drive into, and that's usually how I do the 360s is how can I help you and how can I be better for you, so it may be a similar framework for you guys along my work. But let me know if you need anything on that to help you do that. Storm sirens, I want to give you an update based on what we got from Greene County, because there was some questions about, can't hear the sirens. Before I threw out there, I knew what I knew from Kansas, but Kansas ain't Missouri, so But it is the same. The sirens are intended for people outside. You may hear them inside, and that's great, but they're not intended to be a primary warning system for people inside. They're meant to be a primary warning for people outside to get inside or get safe. So we did, right around the time we were having storms blasting through Willard, we did actually get some information out about that. Recommending people get weather alert radios and things like that. Have a plan, have some equipment, don't rely on the sirens. Worst case scenario, they may not go off anyway, you still gotta have something to be ready. So that update has been put out. We've opened this year's community survey. It'll be open through the end of September. We're going to put the link out in the bills as well. If folks want a hard copy, they can come into City Hall. We'll give them a hard copy. And then like last year, we'll use this to inform planning, probably be a bit more of an informative process. Since I've been here a little bit longer and I can kind of time it up a little bit better. Last year I kind of used it to inform my thought processes, so I'll work on a little bit more than that this time. But we're recommending anybody with a connection to Willard, so I now refer to kind of the outside of Willard as the greater Willard area, so anybody who has a connection with Willard, recommend they complete it. There's questions in there that will differentiate: do you live in Willard, do you work in Willard, do you shop in Willard, what do you do in Willard? All input is welcome, every bit of it. The first Water Advisory Board meeting has been set up for June 4th at 5:30. We're actually hoping to have it next week, but there was some scheduling conflicts, so that was the earliest everyone was available. We want to make sure everybody who was on that advisory board was able to attend that first meeting to get all the same information. We're trying to set them up for success so we can kind of back away a little bit and let them do whatever they want to do or focus on what they want to focus on and have those resources to do that. So we're looking forward to getting that going. The agendas, as you'll see, we originally had some, particularly number 13, a very, very, very long, unwieldy title, and a member of the community had a suggestion to kind of make this a bit more descriptive. So we've added a challenge to ourselves to make this a little bit more descriptive. And if they just have to be long and unwieldy, we'll try and put a little box under there to give it that descriptiveness. So that's the little change we're working on. Roundabouts, this is a very fresh update for today. So some months now, the school had inquired about what could we do to gussy up the roundabouts. And MoDOT at the time seemed to be a dead flat. No, I mean the city could do it, but nobody else can touch it. Now it sounds like maybe they were anticipating the community would help out. There's an agreement regarding the roundabouts that is up for renewal, so who knew? So we're waiting to see the agreement, to see what can and can't be done about the roundabouts. We did share a kind of little teaser post on Facebook earlier today, just to let people know, hey, watch this space. If anybody's really keen to get involved in that, I mean, I'm just anticipating, maybe we need to raise funds and help and dig and sow and, gardening experts who might know what will survive there. Anybody who wants to help out, if we can get the names and their interests ahead of time, then once we know exactly what we can do and what we can't do, we can maybe get those people together and make a better plan. But quite exciting, because that's a great conduit coming into Willard, and it looks a little shabby at the best of times, because if we ain't mowing it, ain't nobody mowing it. And that is it, except for the legal closed.
So no new business, no unfinished business. And just before we go into close, just want to confirm and remind everybody, we did move next meeting, right, to the 27th, correct? Day after Memorial Day, right? Okay. Perfect. In that case, Casey?
I make a motion that we close the open session and open the closed session pursuant to RSMO section 610.021, subsection 1 legal.
I second that. I have a first and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you.
You're going to put that eventually, Casey. You're going to be able to just memorize that.